Let's take a look at all the epics from Voyage to the Sunken City and see how they're holding up before the inevitable balance patch that takes down Drekthar for good. Alright, starting with Demon Hunter, we have Wayward Sage. This card does see some play, although I don't see it used too often. It is a pretty good effect, but I think people are generally cutting it. I'm going to go ahead and give it a B since it's a very playable card. Then we have Colas Commander. I have literally never seen anyone play this card so far this expansion. I'm having to reread it right now to even figure out what it does. Absolutely terrible F. Moving on to Druid, we have Bottom Feeder. I played a lot of Beast Druid when the expansion first came out. It's just a 1-mana 1/3 Beast, which is pretty good for a Beast Druid deck. I do think it's playable in the right deck, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a B. We have Seaweed Strike, which is okay if you're playing a quest variant of Druid. It's a decent card. It is playable in some circumstances. I'm going to go ahead and only give it a C though. Moving on to Hunter, we have Urchin Spines. Even though it seems like it would be good in Quest Hunter, they just don't need it. So even though it's not a bad card, it's just kind of, well, superfluous. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a C. Then we have Emergency Maneuvers. Oftentimes you can play around it though, but still it's a pretty good secret and it is playable, so I'll give it a B. Next up we have Volcanomancy. A lot of people were really curious how this one was going to turn out, and it didn't really. I do think it's a very playable card though, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a C. Then we have Spitelash Siren. My goodness, what a crazy card. This basically makes Naga Mage what it is. This card is absolutely insane. That's the easiest A so far. Moving on to Paladin, we have Radar Detector. People were worried this was going to be really broken, and to be fair, it is very good in Mech Paladin. It is a very, very strong card though, so I'm going to go ahead and give it an A. We have the Guardian's Grace, which does see play in Holy Paladin. It's a very strong card in those decks. I'm going to give it a B. Moving on to Priest, we have Serpent's Wig. There are Priest decks that run this, but they're all bad. I'm giving it a C. Next we have Whirlpool. Literally never seen anyone play it the entire expansion. I can't really give it more than a C. Moving on to Rogue, we have Ajaran Vessel. This is one of the best cards in Pirate Rogue, and it's one of the only thing that makes that deck even remotely playable. Great stuff. Gonna give that one an A. Bootstrap Sunkeneer is a very powerful card, but the meta just isn't right for it right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a B. Moving on to Shaman, we have Bioluminescence. This is the namesake of the Bioluminescent Shaman deck, so I'm going to go ahead and give it an A because it is like the strongest card in that deck. Next up, we have Wrathspine Enchanter, and I have never seen anyone use this. It is an F. Moving on to Warlock, we have Chum Bucket, which is an extremely powerful card in a Murloc Warlock deck, but outside of the first few days of the expansion, basically no one is playing that, so I'm going to give it a B. Then we have Abyssal Wave, which is a pretty good control tool and a nice generator for Abyssal Curses, but I'm going to go ahead and give this one a C. Next up, we have Warrior. We have the Fires of Zinajari, and this card is really bad. It's basically a meme, and it gets an F. Then we have Trench Stalker, which is even worse. This card is laughably terrible. It gets an F-. Moving on to the neutrals, we have Amalgam of the Deep. You're probably sick of seeing this card. Basically every single deck imaginable is running it. This might be one of the very best cards in the entire set. This is the easy A. Then we have Smothering Starfish. I actually had a golden copy of this, but I dusted it. This is a pretty good tech card that actually sees play, and for that reason it's gonna get an A. School Teacher has been an absolute revelation. I avoided playing it at the beginning, but once I did, holy moly, this card is super powerful. You need to remove this or it's going to do a lot of damage. It's a huge enabler for Naga Mage, and even in other decks like Agony Warlock, being able to get that 1-mana Noggling that can cast up to a 3-mana spell, it's just a really good card, and thankfully everyone can get 2 golden copies from the Battle Pass. Definitely gets an A. Next up, we have Slithering Death Scale, and again, this is another card I've never seen anyone play. Absolutely terrible F. Naga Giant is unbelievably not a Druid card, if you can believe that. It is actually a neutral. This has been a very good card, so it's gonna get an A. I also did videos covering all the legendary cards, the rare card, and the common cards from Voyage to the Sunken City, so please consider checking those out.